Maybe next time I can.
Yeah, that's okay. And I can just put you over there so everybody can see it. Let me just have to put, okay. Turn that down. All right. Okay, so what we're looking for is a professional style business report. So something that would be appropriate to go to a client that looks professional. This is not exactly that basically because of the fonts that you're using. It's just kind of not very, Times New Roman is not a cover font. It's not something that is kind of bold or attractive or really engages people to it. So I like that you've got a picture that's really nice, but use something that's a little bit more attractive and attracting as something that you might see on a business report or something like that. What you also don't want is for this to look like an assignment, and that's what it does here because you've got all of you and your roles. So what these title pages usually have, actually let me show you an example if I can. I'll just show you an example of another one that another team's doing, just so you can see that it's, sorry, that's what I'll put it in normal. So there's is still a little bit messy, but what you'll see is there's a little bit more kind of report looking-ish.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So what you want is a report title and then something that basically is created for whoever and then created by whoever. That will do. And don't just stick it up the top because it just looks like a strange kind of collection of things.
Sure. When we say created by, should we say the team name, like Climate?
You can have team or you can have individuals. Don't put student numbers or UTAS reference or anything like that. So keep you as kind of consultancy.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is an executive summary. So a business report has a title page, an executive summary, and then your table of contents. So here I want an executive summary. And it's not the same as an introduction. An executive summary is an overview of the contents of the report. It's a summary. So this report is designed to do this. In this report we do this, and this is what we tell you in this report. And then you start. So all of that becomes what's called front matter. Then the report proper starts number one, but number one is always an introduction. So it's an introduction paragraph that says the purpose of the report is, and it will have these sections and we're going to tell you these things. So it's not the same as an executive summary. They have different purposes. So you need an intro here. Okay, so there is no reference to the units or me or you in this report. It is as if you were consultants. So it's about articulating your understanding of the project and the client for which you're working. So there's no reference to you as a team, there's no reference to me, there's no reference to UTAS. We are now allowing you to explore the idea of you no longer being students and responding in that way, but more professionals. And professionals wouldn't say that kind of stuff. What they would say is, the client is this, the project is this, we understand this. Much more kind of objective language. So get rid of any reference to me or yourselves. What we would expect is a bit of background about not just the project but the team. So what is Climate Futures? What are they trying to achieve? What are they actually working on right now? What kinds of things do they do? And the reason you want to articulate that is because you want to show that yours will help them achieve their overall things. So a little bit more background about them and the kinds of things that they do and how what you're doing is important to helping them. You should never have a heading without a basic piece of text in there. So don't have, these are called orphan headings, when you just have one after another.
Sure.
It's not useful. So you go heading 1, heading 3, deliverables, and then you go this section called deliverables will include these things. It does not have to be extensive.
Yeah.
It can't be orphaned. Then user manual, application. Okay, there's more than just that and a user manual. So go through the specifications. So you're giving them this report, you're giving them planning report, you're giving them an agile report, you're giving them a testing report, you're giving them all of these things, at least in the next semester. So make sure that you've documented them all fully, because it's setting up an expectation for the client of what they're going to get from you. So it has to all be there. Again, don't just have things like headings. Like, there's no point having a heading and then it starts and ends with a figure. That tells me nothing. It tells the reader nothing. What am I meant to do with that figure? What am I meant to think about it? Like, what are you actually showing it to me for? So if there is a heading called prototype design, why is that there? like explain why you are telling me what the prototype is when you haven't even done a requirement specification yet. It's a very odd thing to show in an initiation report. It's not the point of an initiation report. It's about to identify potential scope, inclusion, risk issues and such. So if it's there, you've got to explain why it's there. I would suggest you not put it in because it's not enough. It's not early enough for you to have done enough knowledge gathering to know that that's a good one anyway. So you might want to say that to the planning report, which is the one that comes next. But if you have these or anything like that, you just explain why. So if you've got that there, where in here are you referring to it? So where is figure 3 talked about? You never have a figure in a report without it being talked about, whereas figure 2, why is figure 2 here and nobody's talked about it anywhere else? Figures are only an example of something. They're not there just by themselves. We should never have something without an explanation of it, okay? Yeah, that's good. So you're still working, oh no, you've got here there. Yeah, so again, because this is not about you, this is about the investment of your business, so there's no me in this. I don't figure here,
Yep.
and you don't figure here either. So remove yourself and myself from it, because this is a report that would be done before you basically start, so you're not part of that equation. It's about the investment of the organisation. All right, so what I don't see here is adherence to the basic principle of quality or as it relates to project management. So what you've got is, it would be nice if it worked well and it kind of was shiny and did some great stuff. In a normal conversation, that's what quality might mean. In project management, that's not what quality means. Project management quality means, what are the objective standards and principles and codes of conduct you must adhere to ensure you are creating a quality product. Okay, so it's not just things that work. It's like this particular UX standard, this particular coding methodology, this particular interoperability standard, this particular thing that the company has that we have to integrate with. So these are objective things. You have to get these from your business, and if they don't have any insight, you look then for best practice software development kind of stuff. So none of this stuff actually fits, although what it is an indication of is what the client would find acceptable. So that stuff, you either link it to a particular principle or standard, or you drop it down into your acceptance criteria. Okay? Scope should be an inclusion and an exclusion list. So not just, it'd be good if we created a thing. What are you actually responsible for in the creation of said thing? What are you not responsible for in the creation of said thing? Again, what I'm not seeing through this whole report is any adherence to anything that you learnt in Kit 203, which is the whole reason that we did the unit in preparation for this one. So there's no risk log. I don't see anything about quality standards, any of those things. So you did all of this in that unit in preparation for this. You've actually got to use it. So at the moment, while you've got good information, it's not the right information, and so it's going to fail. Doesn't mean it will in 2 days, because what you're going to do now is you're going to go back to project management. You're going to figure out what risk actually means. You're going to look for a template on a risk log, and you're going to transfer that information into a risk log, because that's the whole point of what you did last time. And I have to see it here to know that you've gone through the actual project management methodology, which is the whole point of this. So risks are really quite detailed, and they need to be on a risk template, a risk log. Similarly, benefits are not just, it'd be nice if it had some stuff that was great. Again, go back to Kit 203. What do benefits actually mean in project management? They mean that they have to be quantifiable and measurable. So not just, it would be working, it would be nice if it worked and somebody received an email and it worked, hooray. It's not a benefit. Benefit is an increase in something by a certain amount by a certain time, or a decrease in something by 5% by a certain amount. So increases in productivity, reductions in cost, reductions in the time it takes to do something. It's got to be measurable and quantified. So again, all of these really nice to have benefits of things that would be great are not actual benefits in a project management methodology. So you've just kind of written generally, you have to be really specific.
Because I find the benefits didn't in the CRA.
Oh yeah, that's right. So in the assignment brief, benefits were in that section, but then in the CRA they're not.
Correct, that's
Yeah.
right. Yes, actually, that's entirely my fault. So when I was writing the assignment specification, under the deliverables, I've gone, for example, you could include these kinds of things, and I dropped in benefits and maybe even quality there.
Yeah.
And then later on I said, and now do quality and benefits, and I've realised I've messed you up because I was a bit too excitable on that day. So there should only be one section on benefits and one section on quality. So anything in this section that isn't quantified and whatever, drop out entirely, and make sure there is a section that is quantified and measurable, and there is a section that is objective standards. So that was entirely my mistake, that it's dropping it into both. So you can drop it from the top section and make sure you do it more rigorously in the second section. Thank you for that,
Yeah.
that's really important. Stakeholders, you need an actual stakeholder analysis. So again, in project management, you don't just write random stuff about people, you write very specific criteria about people, because it's all about making decisions in your design that fulfill requirements, and if you don't have them specified, you can't link them back, which you absolutely must do later. So what we're looking for there is a stakeholder analysis. This is a good part of a stakeholder analysis, but it's not all there is. So keep that, but augment it. That might be all right. Again, so here we go. So this is where I was confusing you guys. Again, benefits, either there or there, I don't care where.
Yep.
Quantified, measurable. Otherwise they are not project management benefits. Quality, these is what confuses a lot of people, because reliability is actually what's called a non-functional requirement. It's not a quality standard. So when you get next time, you're going to specify the functional and non-functional requirements. So functionals are the ones that make it work. Without it, the system doesn't operate. And the non-functionals are the ones that make it work good. So things like reliability are the non-functional requirements. So you don't actually have to document them like that under quality, because quality is about a standard. So a standard might say that a service level agreement is, it has to be operational 99.9% of the time or whatever, but unless there is an objective standard, you don't do that in that part. These, however, since they're already written, please don't get rid of them, but they are more subjective. They're like, I would like it if it did this thing. Drop those into acceptance criteria, because the whole for subjectivity in this report is acceptance. That is where somebody has an epiphany and wakes up one day and goes, it's reliable, I accept this product, it's really great. So things that aren't actual standards and measures, drop from there into acceptance, and only have things in there that are particular standards and codes of conduct and UX principles and whatever best practice is. So we want to show that you know best practice and you're designing with that in mind. And this is the generic bucket of other stuff that you can't quantify, you can't make objective, you drop it into there. So you're definitely on the right track, except you're missing the whole actual project management point. So you have to go back to your OEKIP 203 materials, find all the templates. If you can't find them, just use a generic risk log or generic stakeholder analysis, that's fine. But in doing so, it will prompt you to go more deeply in your analysis than I can see that you've done, because you're just kind of talking generally and vaguely about topics. You're not actually doing an analysis of any of them yet. So the templates will guide you through that analysis. Definitely something that you can fix in the next couple of days, because you've already got a huge amount of data there already. Just structure it a little bit more rigorously.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any specific questions? Anything I can help you with directly? Apart from that barrage of stuff to fix.
So there's actually one thing. Since the project is pretty new to us and we have already talked to the client for once, there's not actually a lot of quantifiable
You need to talk to them twice.
Yeah.
The idea is to talk to them once a week, and given that you have an assignment due then, when you go to fill your templates out, you're going to find gaps if you've only talked to them once and you haven't asked those detailed levels of things. So I would suggest you go to the templates, find out the data, do another quick data collection, even if it's over email or voice chat or whatever, just say we've got a few extra things. Collect as much of that as possible, because you can't have a vague and empty template section in your initiation document, because the whole point is that when you do, your actual project, you have to link back to all the stuff that you said in this one. If you haven't done it now, you're gonna have to restart it all in your planning report, cause you'll need it then. So best now to collect it as much as you can. Okay? All good? Cool. All right. Okay, come back if you need to. All right, you guys take care. That's my version, not your version. I'll close that down, so leave that to you. Cool, all right.
I just wanted to double check that tomorrow we didn't have a management meeting.
Correct, yeah, just working on this tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah. All good? All right, you guys take care. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
No worries, bye-bye.